Hi, teacher.
Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. We just wait for the others. That's gonna be a small assessment for us to share, and that's gonna be it.
Yes, it's okay, teacher. Don't worry.
Thank you, honey. Thank you. I'm gonna wait, girls, until 12:35, and well, it doesn't matter who's here. We're gonna start sharing. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, teacher. Well,
Thank you,
I
honey.
have to tell you something. Like right now, I'm at work.
Uh-huh.
So, is there any problem if I disconnect at one or
No,
a little
don't worry.
bit?
Don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
Well, okay, girls, let's begin. The others are not here, but we need to start. Okay, girls. So let's share. Today, I decided to start the class by showing you a comic that I very much like, and it's related to two perspectives. Can you please share what is it that you saw on that comic?
Sorry, can you repeat it, teacher?
Sorry? Can I repeat?
No, teacher, I get it.
Oh, okay. Let's listen again.
Well, in the comic, you have a picture like where two people are playing a board game,
Uh-huh.
like Scrabble, and one of them like make a word that is misspelled,
Uh-huh.
and the other so they start like argue, and the argument of the young man says that it's correct because he like everyone will understand what he mean with the word, and the
Uh-huh.
other it says that he is not correct because like they are playing a game. So well, in my perspective, I can understand both sides because in the first one, like it's correct that the language is for communicate, and even if we could say like aiga instead of aya, you understand what you mean. But at the same time, I understand the other point because well they are playing, so I consider that is not valid his argument in that case.
Okay. So you say it's like both of them are somehow right, but in this case, the one that says we have to follow the rules is the one that's like more accurate because of the context. Because in the context,
Yes.
we are playing a game. Okay. Yes. So we agree
Yes.
that for games, we need to follow a certain pattern of rules, don't we?
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you very much, Indira. Thank you. Someone else? Welcome, Ozzy. Welcome, Ian. We are talking about the two
Hi,
perspectives.
teacher.
Hi, honey. How are you?
Teacher, I'm pretty bad
Why? Don't say that.
because of this situation. We're not going to see you anymore, probably. So we're gonna miss you a lot.
But I'm here.
Yes, teacher, it's true. We are gonna miss you.
I will miss you too,
But
guys.
not physically.
But I will send you all my love. And once we're able to go back to school, I hope to see you back, guys. But I'm sad as well. Being here, locked in here, it's not something that I like.
Teacher, we're gonna we're gonna go to school anymore because we are about to finish our career.
What?
Okay, no,
No. Oh,
okay, no.
God, bad.
When I don't have anything to say.
Exactly. I'm wordless. But I think if we have the chance to meet, probably in January, if this is like not that crazy, you're all grown up, so I guess a year when I'm no longer your teacher would be cool. No? Okay. Well, I'll drink the beer.
Hi, teacher, sorry. I was sending a message.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I hate doing this because my internet is pretty bad, so I know. But
Mine
we,
too.
we'll, we will try to do our best, and I promise if you want to, uh we need to go out and like have fun, a coffee, a tea or something, but we
Okay.
need
Yes, teacher. I will love it.
yes,
Plan.
we just need to wait for this to calm down, and then we will see. Even if I'm no longer your teacher, we'll see later. What do you say? I'm up for it.
Ah, that's so sad.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know it's sad. I was actually quite shocked. It was It was like, that day in the morning, Monday morning, and they were like, teachers, we're not coming back. And I'm like, no, I don't like working like this. I feel too stressed.
I
God.
know.
But let's smile. Let's at least have a bit fun talking about something that I guess is interesting. Well, this information that I hope is useful for you might work. So thank you for being here.
Will you still be working in January at UTR?
I hope so. I hope so, honey. I hope
Okay.
you're hired. If I do, I'll let you know. Just for you to go visit me and we drink a coffee at our spectacular coffee shop at UTR. What do you say? Or we go somewhere else.
A coffee would be good.
A delicious coffee.
Okay.
Okay, great. Let's continue. So Indira was sharing her point of view related to the comic, and she was saying that both perspectives are correct because one is like, we achieved the goal in communicating, and the other one says, no, we need to respect the rules. What do you think? Indira says like both are correct, but in this case, the one that's like more accurate for the situation is the one that says let's follow the rules. What do you think?
Mm.
Or what do you have to say about the comic? Because
But
I loved it.
I
Sorry,
think that
sorry.
it depends on it depends on the circumstances.
Like,
Like well, for example, related to the comic, I've seen these kinds of images. For example, on Facebook, when we see these pictures that says, if you can read this, it's because you are a bilingual, but
next
with
word.
with mis words.
Yes,
And, and that's the main differences between these two approaches because they are approaches
yeah,
that
exactly.
one is about how language has to be used, and the other one is how a language is correctly and actually used.
Exactly. Great. So I think that's very important what Ozzy says. Yes, they are approaches. So it means that we have two ways of seeing it. One aims to say, like Ozzy says, this is like the pattern that we need to use if we intend to use it like correctly, like the way the native speakers use the language. And the other one says, okay, we need to observe how it is behaving, how it is, and how it is working, even though when the patterns are not that like strictly the same in every circumstance. And this is something I don't know if you remember, guys, but when we were talking about the class that you had to plan for explaining the articles, when you were actually explaining, I was like asking you questions to push you to the situation. What happens when you face communicative situations where the rule is broken? For example, in this comic, we have two native speakers and they're playing a game. And one says, "Well, I wanna win, so I'm gonna cheat." And he uses a valid explanation. But the other one says, "No, no, no. We need to follow the rule." Then, which perspective, guys, do you think is the best one for us teachers? Do we need to be descriptivists or do we need to be prescriptivists?
I consider that it will be prescriptive because for the students is I think that is easier to learn, like to know the rules, those kind of things.
Okay,
Because if we just focus on the scriptive, I think that it will be like harder or confusing for them.
Somehow it could create confusion. Like, I don't know, he's not here, goddammit. But anyways, uh, actually, with the example that I gave you related to the class, we applied this kind of analysis, this perspective. Abraham was the one that was being completely descriptive, because even though when he didn't realize, he said, but it doesn't sound good. He didn't know why, he didn't know the rule, and he only said, that doesn't sound natural, that doesn't sound right. He was trying to be descriptive. Exactly. That is something that may cause an issue, because if the student, for example, in our case, that we are teachers teaching Spanish native speakers to acquire a second code, which is English, if we try to be as descriptive as we can, we're gonna push them to be in a place like Abraham. Well, I don't know what's the rule, but that doesn't sound good. Even when it's useful, because they're gonna like somehow communicate. The thing is that we may cause problems. So somehow prescriptivist approaches can be helpful. Who has a different point of view? Who think that being descriptivist could be better in the case of foreign language teachers?
So our point of view as a teacher or as a student? Sorry.
You can tell me, as a teacher, I think this is the best, or as a student, I think this is the best. Sometimes it can be different.
Yeah. Well, I prefer like as a teacher prescriptivism, right? Because you can like explain the grammar like Indira said, but descriptivism as a student because you are going to apply that. Oh, well, it's kind of confusing, but yeah, like descriptivism as a student because you're going to apply it in another country, maybe, or you, I don't know, descriptivism, like you learn it like by being in the social aspect or something like that. I don't
It actually depends on the context. Yes, I
know.
don't know if you remember, in one of the videos that I shared with you, actually, that the student, he's a linguistic student, and he was trying to help us to understand actually when each of these perspectives is helpful. There is, in between these two, there's not one that, oh, this is the correct one, or this is the chosen one, and this is the one we all should use. It makes no sense, because if we think of, for example, this kind of books like we use to teach or we use to learn, as Andy says, well, as a teacher, I prefer them because it's better to show my students that there is a pattern. 1 + 1 = 2, and this is what you want to communicate in language. But as Andy says, well, when you're a student and you want to apply this knowledge, well, you rather understand how it is, like, how is it made, what are the parts of it, and how am I going to be using it. So Andy says that she prefers, like, as a teacher, and I agree sometimes, that prescriptivism is the best, because you have already a formula, like 1 + 1 = 2, and that's it. You don't have to go into deeper thoughts. And as a speaker, descriptivism could be better. For example, I loved your reaction, and I will go back to that class, when you were observing exactly this is the use of language, and that's why it is used this way with articles. Who has a different opinion or a similar one? From Andy's or Indira's? What do you think about this approach? Or which one are you most like used to use in your classroom? Jared, I would like to hear you, honey. It's okay if you don't turn your camera on. I just want to hear you. Please. I feel like Dora the Explorer. Please don't do this to me.
Sorry, teacher. It's because I'm eating.
Sorry! Bon appetit.
Thank you. It's because I just arrived at at home, and I'm eating right now. So that's
Sorry.
why I haven't I haven't turned on my microphone.
Don't worry. You can finish your meal and then you give us your participation. I'm gonna continue then. Well, after blah 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 and all this, the idea, guys, was to push you to understand that both perspectives are actually completely useful. Why? In one of the videos, actually, one of the guys that was explaining told us, okay, we need to understand that language has one function and one function only, to transmit information. It's like the communication cycle. You have something that you want to communicate to the other, and you have various channels to do so. You can do it using sound, either using words or just like sounds, but even those sounds that are not words may communicate. For example, this sound is not exactly a word, but it communicates. Therefore, it's part of language, even though when it's not a word. And what happens when we have these like issues and we cannot communicate using sounds or words? Well, we can communicate using written signs, written words. So when we are communicating in these two ways, we need to understand that even though when I can communicate in the same language, I can communicate English in an oral way and I can communicate English in a written way. They are not the same. Spoken and written language are different from one another. How? How is that? Even if they belong, both ways of communicating belong to the same language, well, it's because each one of these ways of communicating has their own particularities. For example, with sounds, I may have something like I gave the example, like, and even though when interjections in language, that category of words that can be written and written identified, they aim to identify this information from a written way, it is not the same. For example, if you're reading an academic paper, is it possible that you find such a thing like written there? If it's not, like, for example, if it's the paper is not related to study linguistics and it's about chemistry, do you think you might find that expression written in there?
No, teacher.
No, exactly, because this sound specifically belongs only to sounds, to oral communication. Therefore, it's only something we might find in oral communication. So, understanding this, that written and oral are completely different from one another, even though when they belong to the same language, we need to understand that to better be able to explain or to present them to others, for example, in this case, us as teachers, we need to use two different perspectives, descriptivism and prescriptivism. I agree, for example, with what Andy and Indira were saying. Well, as teachers, we need to somehow use prescriptivism. Why? Why do you think the best thing to do as a teacher when you're working, for example, with beginner students, such as, like in your case, university students, and you need to acquire a certain level? Why would it be good to, in a first level, A1, for example, to use a prescriptivist approach? Does it have like, 10 cents?
I think that when you have A1 level students, it's better to use prescriptivism because they are learning a new language. They have never seen this language, so that's why they should be learning through this approach because
Exactly.
they don't know any word.
Exactly.
And
Thank
for us, for example, is easier the descriptivism because we already know some words, and if we see these words in a misspelled way, it's gonna be easier for us because we already know the meaning and how the word is structured.
Exactly. Thank you. Because using a prescriptivist approach, you might, as Ozzy says, introduce in a first instance something that we do not know. For example, let's imagine you have never seen a pen in your life. So I'm gonna introduce you the pen and I will start telling you, oh, a pen is composed by all these elements and it's meant for this. If you don't have this cannot be a pen. You could have something different to write on and it might be, I don't know, a marker, a pencil, whatever. The thing is, with the prescriptivist approach, what we do is introduce in the first instance something we do not know, and we need a established pattern. People that understood or people that were studying at a certain moment grammar of languages decided to establish these as patterns to be better to introduce and to say, this is what we need to follow if we aim to communicate this, and that. Now, guys, now that you are teachers, that you have acquired what I guess is a very high level of English, what do you think you could do to work better for yourselves as teachers that we are always learning with a descriptivist approach without going to school or without having someone else? What is it that you by yourselves you can do to better understand the descriptivist approach? You as teachers, reading the rules, reading dictionaries, reading grammar guidelines.
Well, to know more about the descriptivism, I think that it will be to be explore. I don't know how to say it. Like to be immersed of the language, like the real language, not just by the textbooks or the grammar information, like to live in there or to watch videos about not like how to explain the simple past, if not like to know more about the news or something like it's not used to teach.
Great, great. So you say like getting out of the comfort zone of teaching, like we need to leave behind a little bit the books. And as you said, like get immersed into the communicative situations. And therefore, it would be a better, sorry, for us to better understand how language works. Because actually, that this approach, that's what it's looking for us, not to say, oh, it works this plus this equals that. No, this approach is meant for us to understand this is how it's happening. Why is it happening like this? What's going on? Who is saying it? Where is it? When is it? What's the communicative situation? That's exactly why it's called descriptivism, because it describes everything that's involved, not only in the pattern or in the sentence, but in the communicative situation. Time, people, public, kind of information, and also the channel of communication. From the written and the oral one, which one do you think us as teachers, we need to focus more to better work and to better understand with the descriptivism perspective? Oral or written?
Oral one.
Oral, because it's where we can actually better understand it. I don't know if you have ever heard, it's something like more common, I'm not going to say exclusive, but it's more common in between the Black community. When they say, you is. Have you ever heard it?
Yes, teacher.
Great. And does it mean that even though when they are native speakers, oh, they don't know how to say, no sabe decir. That's what's going on there?
Teacher, I have a question.
Yes.
Is this topic like in Spanish when people say aiga or estábanos or something like that? Because it's obviously informal, but the meaning and the sense is the same as the correct one.
Exactly. O sea,
Ah,
de hecho, por eso, for us, in Spanish, por eso, muchachos, no sé si ya alguna vez con alguno de sus maestros les hayan usado el término es gramatical o es agramatical, porque en lengua, hijos, no podemos decir, es correcto o es incorrecto. Pues es incorrecto, incluso aunque nosotros, por ejemplo, hablantes nativos del español, yo hablar así, entender ustedes. Pasé un mensaje, pero ¿entendieron lo que dije? 50, 30%. Con mi oración.
just like 80%.
Yes, exactly. So we have 80%. We have 80% of information, so it means that it's incorrect. Or it's correct. ¿Qué es correcto y qué es incorrecto en lengua? Carecemos nosotros, y nosotros como maestros de idioma, nosotros no podemos decir, eso que dijiste es incorrecto. Híjole, pues es que si estoy utilizando palabras que pertenecen a un grupo de códigos, se llaman lengua, y estoy utilizándolos en cierta situación comunicativa, logro que mi mensaje pase como, por ejemplo, no sé, un bebé que llora y un bebé que esté en proceso de adquirir una palabra o una lengua, el bebé solamente va a decir bibi. Yo entiendo como ya parte hablante, parte de este sistema comunicativo, que el bebé lo que quiere es un bibi, sin necesidad de que el bebé me haya estructurado una oración completa que diga, quiero tomar leche o quiero tomar un bibi con algún líquido. Este proceso chiquitito nada más nos sirve para demostrar que no hay tal cosa como correcto o incorrecto. Por lo tanto, nosotros, muchachos, tenemos que recurrir a grammatically correct or grammatically incorrect, porque recordemos que la gramática, más formalmente la sintaxis, es la rama encargada precisamente, prescriptivamente hablando, es la que se encarga de decirnos, ok, dentro de toda esta nube enorme de palabras que conforman una lengua, verbos, preposiciones, sustantivos, pronombres, etcétera, lo que hace la sintaxis es decirnos, nosotros necesitamos tener un orden de palabras, y este orden de palabras, entre ellas son como piezas de Lego. Hay unas que embonan con otras y otras que no. Por ejemplo, hay cosas que no funcionan en las lenguas, como decir to table. Yo sé que ese to table es algo como, pues son dos palabras, pero sintácticamente es incorrecto porque no me está predicando nada. Tengo simple y sencillamente una preposición y después un sustantivo. Si bien las preposiciones sirven para introducir frases sustantivas, en esta situación to table me deja a mí como hablante con un suspenso de entender, pues, ¿qué me quiere decir este? Muy bien. Entendiendo esto, muchachos, lo que nosotros tenemos que empezar a hacer como maestros, precisamente esto es lo que buscan estos dos enfoques, es entender que al momento de ser descriptivo es porque voy a entender las situaciones comunicativas que normalmente van a ser agramaticales y que son propias de la comunicación oral, para entenderlas por qué funcionan y por qué comunican, como el ejemplo que dijo Ciel. En español, nosotros, y tendemos a burlarnos de quien dice, aiga, hiciste, comiste, incluso muchachos, las pequeñas contracciones que se vuelven parte normal de la lengua, porque recordemos que las lenguas están en constante evolución y quienes las cambian pues somos nosotros los hablantes. Y honestamente, nosotros los hablantes tendemos a dejar de lado las reglas. ¿Quiénes de nosotros, honestamente, hijos, tiene presente que la conjugación verbal en español obedece a las personas, primera persona, segunda? Pues nadie, o sea, hablamos como Dios nos da a entender y regularmente hacemos de las reglas de la lengua lo que se nos da una gana. Entonces, muchachos, ¿de qué nos sirve a nosotros como maestros de idioma entender qué fregados es el prescriptivismo y qué fregados es el descriptivismo? ¿Y por qué me sirven a mí como hablante en un primer momento? Porque pues es nuestro interés, ¿no? Si nosotros ya nos dedicamos a ser maestro de lengua, es porque como hablante tengo el interés o soy sensible a los fenómenos lingüísticos. ¿Por qué entonces a nosotros como maestros es algo que nos interesa, conocer estos dos enfoques? Estaría bien que nosotros les dijéramos a nuestros amigos, ya que lo conocemos, si escucho que alguien dice, pues ojalá y haya una manera de volvernos a ver. Tendríamos nosotros como la oportunidad o la libertad moral de decir, no sabe decir, no sabe ni hablar español, pero comunicó y cumplió, la lengua cumplió con su cometido. ¿Podríamos nosotros entonces empezar o seguir con estos juicios de, y no sabe decir?
Pues no, porque incluso nos dicen, ay, pero me entendiste, ¿no?
Y tienen razón, ¿no? Como en el cómic, de hecho, los dos personajes del cómic son los dos precursores de los dos enfoques, precisamente. Uno es Locke y el otro no me acuerdo de su nombre, pero los dos tienen un motivo, como dice Osi. Pues cuando estás diciendo cosas, y hasta en inglés, ¿a poco no nos pasa con nuestros alumnos que nos dicen, teacher, like, I like, teacher? Y aunque lo corrijas, hay algunos que nos dicen, pues me entendió, ¿no? And somehow they're right.
Yes, that's true.
And that happens. ¿Qué tendríamos nosotros que hacer entonces, muchachos, para lograr este como balance? Porque, pues, prescriptivism is useful, and I agree, because I use it, and we need to use it, to tell, to show, this is the pattern we need to follow. We have an apple, and then a pen, and then we have apple, pen, and that's it. And that's how you communicate that you want to go dinner with someone else. I don't know. But what happens when you are, for example, watching a movie, and I'm thinking of, I don't know, a popular kids movie, and suddenly you hear a character that belongs to the Black community, and that person is using something like you is, or even worse, guys, when we are using second conditional. As you know, teachers, second conditional in English language, when it's orally produced, we are allowed to use if you was, if you
If I
were.
were.
Exactly. And god damn it, there now we are in a problem. How can we use it when we are teaching? And for us to, before we teach, we need to understand, how is it useful for us? How can we combine it? Could it be possible that we could, I don't know, start by introducing a written, I don't know, a story or a tweet or something that is useful for us to show a certain communicative situation? For example, I don't know, a WhatsApp that you could send to your mom to tell her that you will be off school a bit late. So probably we can write it. It's not meant to teach, so it's a real document. We can show it. From there, we can identify the pattern, and there you go. We have prescriptivist approach. We are telling someone, these are the parts, these are the steps, if you're looking for to communicate this. Do you agree?
Yes, we agree.
Yes.
Good. And how can you then explain, or how can you then use the prescriptivist approach if you have already started with a written message to show the prescriptivism? And you have already, I don't know, the topic was, or the grammar point was to teach them simple present with to be. For example, you could send, even if it's your own voice, you could send the same message in an audio using on purpose the wrong verb with the wrong subject. You is going to be surprised, mom. I don't know. You can say you is happy. Is you happy, mom? I don't know. The idea is that you switch codes, that you stop using the written one and that you use the oral one, so that you might show to your students where is the difference in between written messages, the rule we need to follow if we want to communicate, and how people use it. All the opportunities we have, or like those, I don't know, how can we call it? When people allow themselves to break the rule, and even though we communicate. Do you think that would be something good? And even if it's a basic level.
Yes, I consider that it's a good example. So they can
Good.
understand like the both ways.
Yes, because you're showing written, oral. Great, guys. Perfect. Now, this is something that I want you to do. From the one of the videos that I sent you before, he was giving examples. He was giving examples on where can we possibly find documents, real documents, from the places that we can actually take examples to use a descriptivist approach, which I think is like combining them is the best way to let people understand how languages behave, because we have to agree, sorry if you agree to disagree, but languages are very complex, and it's not like, oh, English only behaves in a certain way because American people speak it this way. We have to understand that there's like a lot of people using it, so varieties in codes are going to exist. Therefore, we have different oral speak, in even written speaking languages. For example, you have English from Britain, you have English from America, where sometimes couple words, this is a very limited amount of words, may change. I don't know, for example, if you have seen colors written or spelled in two different ways. Colors and colors. And one is correct and the other one is correct as well. The only difference is where do they use one in British, in Britain, I'm sorry, colors, and colors in America without the U. Have you seen it?
Yes, teacher.
So,
Yes, like favorite and favorite or something like that, right?
yes. That's another example. And how, for example, if you have stubborn students, when they say, teacher, which one is the correct one? Y no sé si les ha pasado que les dices, es que las dos. Y luego te voltean a ver con cara de, ¿sí sabe o no sabe? ¿Cómo que las dos? And it happens.
Yes.
Como que no te no, neta, o sea, es que las dos es correcta. Ah, pues precisamente a nosotros, creo, yo, y esta es mi perspectiva personal como docente, creo que a nosotros como maestros de idiomas, entender estas dos perspectivas es muy útil porque en un primer momento a nosotros nos abre la perspectiva de decir, pues sí, existe una regla y nosotros sabemos que, como dice Ociel, o sea, necesitamos seguir cierto como código o cierto patrón para poder decir, por ejemplo, I love you. Sé que para decir que yo te quiero a ti, pues primero me pongo a mí, y que love quiere decir te quiero y you, pues a ti, ¿verdad? Entonces ya me aprendí esa estructura, me la enseñaron que eso era presente simple y ahí está, prescriptivista mi entendimiento del funcionamiento de la lengua. Pero ¿qué pasa si yo soy completamente descriptivista? Puedo caer también en el error enorme, perdón muchachos, de confundir a mi alumno. A nosotros como maestros nos sirve para entender cómo es el funcionamiento de patrones y entender cuando estos no se siguen, porque es evidente, con toda mi verborrea que yo les decía, pues todas las lenguas tienen variaciones. Las lenguas, existen porque existen en la cabeza de los hablantes. Aquí habemos 2, 4, 6 people. We all share one code, and that code is Spanish. That's the one that we were raised with, and that's the first one we acquired. So let's say that whenever we are planning something evil for the world, we do it in Spanish because we are mostly used to code information in Spanish. But it doesn't mean that we all think the same way. Aunque nuestra cabeza esté acostumbrada a procesar o a codificar información en español, no quiere decir que porque cada uno de nosotros codifique en español, no quiere decir que todos codificamos de la misma manera. Por ejemplo, muchachos, aquí, ¿a quién le gusta el mole de piñón? ¿O quién conoce qué es el mole de piñón?
Yo no.
Muy
Yo
bien.
tampoco.
No. ¿Los demás? Pero a ver si hablan español. ¿Por qué no tenemos la misma o por qué no codificamos de la misma manera? Sencillo, pues porque nuestras cabezas no funcionan de la misma manera. Ese es como el gran misterio de las cabezas humanas, ¿no? Y es lo que pasa con las lenguas. Las lenguas existen porque aquí, por ejemplo, nosotros estamos utilizando, yo en este momento, una para comunicar con ustedes. Si bien ustedes son capaces de percibirlo, de procesarlo, y después de ahí quienes tengan la intención de dar una respuesta para cerrar el ciclo de comunicación, la lengua existe, pero dentro de esta misma existencia hay variaciones. Estas variaciones, por ejemplo, vienen desde la entonación hasta el uso de las palabras, como ahorita decíamos con colors, favorite, y no recuerdo qué otra, pero es limitado esta entrada lexical que cambian, por ejemplo, solamente con una letrita con la que le escribes, o por ejemplo, lo que nosotros llamaríamos la dialectología, ¿no? Las palabras que son comunes en cierto grupo y en otro no, o las que son de mayor uso. En español, por ejemplo, nosotros a la parte trasera que parece duraznito le decimos pompis, y en España le dicen culo. Aquí, en México, el usar esa palabra sería súper altisonante, ¿no? Y en España es de lo más normal. Ambas son español y tienen esta variación. Un approach, andale, ya estoy utilizando Spanglish, un approach descriptivista me ayudaría a explicarle precisamente a mi alumno por qué estas variaciones existen, quiénes las utilizan y por qué apoyándome del prescriptivismo, es decir, de las reglas establecidas, decirle, ok, esto no se está cumpliendo, aunque aquí la regla me lo está diciendo, pero comunica porque cumple con algunas características de la regla. Si bien no todas las características están presentes, cumple con el objetivo comunicativo porque alguna regla debe de cumplir. La relación sujeto-verbo, el tiempo, la relación entre palabras, no sé, que se encuentra entre el sujeto y el complemento, o si es un verbo auxiliar que se encuentra entre el sujeto y el verbo principal, en algo debe de cumplir. The idea, guys, I'm gonna let you go now. The idea, guys, that I wanted to tell you before I got all excited and talk. The thing is that you go back to the videos and please, each one of you find one place. Either it can be a movie, a song, I don't know, a tweet, even a tweet. This is something quick pause. Como estamos viviendo la era de la comunicación y estamos de acuerdo en que desafortunadamente la formación letrada, es decir, en cuanto a las reglas de escritura, va en decadencia, ya lo habíamos platicado porque es más común que nosotros encontremos en las redes sociales estas fallas y estos permisos que comunican, pero que resultan ser agramaticales. Por eso ya no es nada más solamente como del funcionamiento oral, sino también lo podemos encontrar como reflejo de las redes sociales, en Facebook, en Twitter, en Instagram, whatever. The thing, guys, is that you please find somewhere that you have something that is grammatically incorrect and try to use a descriptive approach to let someone know why this is communicating. Acuérdense que para dar una explicación descriptiva nos tenemos que valer del prescriptivismo. Es decir, si yo les digo, vamos a analizar de la película The Help, cuando la negrita le dice a la niña, you is kind, you is important, you is smart, etcétera, etcétera. ¿Cómo yo puedo hacerle saber a mis alumnos que eso que le está diciendo la negrita, si bien es gramatical, es correcto? Fácil, porque en la estructura de la oración tengo sujeto, verbo to be y el complemento, y ese complemento es un adjetivo. Si bien la cosa o la parte gramatical recae en la conjugación del verbo to be, puedo permitirlo, porque no es como me esté diciendo you am, no, sino es una misma repetición. You is. Puedo explicarlo como correcto porque entiendo que tal vez hacer la diferencia entre you y una tercera persona, he or she, deja de ser importante porque no soy yo de quien estoy hablando. Es una singularidad que no soy yo y me vale utilizar el is. Punto. Este tipo de explicaciones son las que ustedes podrían dar. El documento, el último que les pasé, que se llama Descriptivism and Descriptivism, a Student Attitudes Towards Language, les puede ayudar un poquito para dar la explicación. Ese, por favor, muchachos, me lo van a subir en este momento. Les voy a abrir la parte de la tarea para que ustedes suban la imagen o de donde ustedes tomaron, ya sea si, por ejemplo, es un video, de ahí me ponen el link del video y me van a poner la explicación de, ok, de manera descriptiva, este es lo que está mal y podemos entenderlo así y así y así. No sé si me expliqué.
O sea, en la misma tarea vamos a poner el video o el tweet o el que mencionaba.
Ajá.
Ahí mismo.
Así es. Y ustedes van a poner ahí la explicación de, ok, teacher. Aquí, por ejemplo, la persona dijo you is, pero es comunicativamente correcto porque aquí dijo you is kind. Sé que es correcto la estructura porque tengo you, sujeto, debería de ir seguido del verbo to be, conjugado are, y un adjetivo, que eso es lo que sintácticamente es correcto si yo quiero comunicar cualidades de un sujeto. Tú eres inteligente. La estructura es sujeto, verbo ser, complemento, que es un adjetivo. Si bien en inglés lo que está errado es el verbo to be, es comunicativamente correcto porque cumple prescriptivamente con la regla sujeto, verbo, adjetivo. Aunque el verbo esté errado, cumple con otras dos características. Por lo tanto, la lengua me va a ayudar a decir, ya sé lo que quiere decir, no hay pedo que diga you is. Lo mismo que pasaría con en español decir aiga. Bueno, yo sé que es haya, pero no es aiga. A lo mejor ahí el sonido recae en una grafía o en un sonido, pero la lengua me permite entender por la conjugación que es correcto. No sé si ahora ya me expliqué, preciosa.
Sí, teacher. Gracias.
Welcome. The others?
Yes, teacher, is clear.
Okay.
Yes, teacher, it's clear.
You have the rest of the day. And don't be sad. Los extraño, muchachos. Tranquilos. Vamos a ver. Pídanle a Dios, a la Virgen, aunque seamos ateos, no importa. Pues pídanle a la deidad, a la que crean, a que esto ya se acabe, porque yo no quería estar encerrada en mi casa. Los extraño.
Ah, teacher.
Nosotros también, teacher.
Oh my God,
Ánimo.
teacher, I didn't see that you were using a microphone. Oh my God, it's so cool. No lo había
I
Yes,
know.
visto.
I
it's a
know.
podcast.
Podcast.
I'm now a welcome to my amazing verborrea de lengua. I hope you enjoy. Okay,
Bienvenidos a
guys.
tu podcast favorito donde todas las lenguas se juntan.
Ay, usted. Ok, muchachos, tienen el resto del día para poder hacer su investigación. Yo lo que les recomiendo es que visiten sobre todo Twitter y o películas. Sobre todo, revisen películas en donde, por ejemplo, ustedes puedan observar intercambio lingüístico de grupos no nativos, por ejemplo, hispanoparlantes que están instalados en Estados Unidos, los chicanos, los italianos, porque precisamente nosotros somos quienes tendemos a hacer estos pequeños errorcitos gramaticales. Pero si ustedes quieren buscar en otros lados, adelante. Yo les recomiendo sobre todo en películas que hablen de estos grupos, pues, de inmigrantes que viven en Estados Unidos. Ahí, así a la primera van a encontrar. Sobre todo también en los grupos de personas de color, encontrarán. ¿De acuerdo? Dale, vale. Bueno.
Thank you, teacher. Love
Oh,
you.
you have an amazing day and see you next week, okay?
See you, teacher.
See you.
Bye,
See you, teacher.
Have a nice
Bye.
day.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Love you and miss you.